And we are live. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the LOOPCast. Today, joined by Josh and Erica. We've got a lot to cover today. We're talking Zuck. The rebrand of Zuck will be mentioned for centuries. We're talking some fires in LA, just shocking stuff. We're gonna get into that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Trump manifest destiny.
Greenland, here we come.
It's still Christmas as we Catholics celebrate. So another thing for you guys.
Oh, what does it say?
What does it say, you're being?
Yeah, it's hard to
Why
say.
is the carpet wet, Todd?
What is that?
I don't know, Margot.
Is that
Little Christmas vacation there for you?
Oh,
got it.
a reference that I missed, but I'm sure it's funny.
Josh really misses, but what he does.
Julianne Dreyfus, she's
Okay.
just something else.
All right, we keep it moving. Warm welcome to everyone here in the chat today, and a lot of topics. So I say we just get right into it.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's do this.
Vibe shift.
Vibe shift. He releases this video, and I'll share it here for all of us to see. But not on my bingo card for 2021. Josh, maybe you, a little bit more cynical, saw this coming. I did not. But if you see Mark Zuckerberg here, he shared this 5-minute video updating Meta's misinformation and censorship policies, essentially getting rid of it in a lot of ways, following the lead of Elon Musk and free speech on X. So it's a longer video. It's 5 minutes. I have all the points written down so we can go through the transcript a little bit quicker, but there's 6 major points, okay? So bear with me, everyone. 6 points. First point. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X.
Sounds familiar.
After Trump got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming arbiters of truth, but the fact checkers have been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yep, true.
Accurate. Facts, as the kids say.
Who wrote this? Okay, so that's only the start. That's number one. Number two, second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far.
Solid.
The left is the real fascists, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. Now, I personally have noticed this as our numbers on Instagram have done much better as of recent, and for a long time, just totally in the barrel. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it's making people stressed. So we've stopped recommending these posts, but it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our U.S.-based content review is going to be in Texas.
Zuckerberg joins the herd of independent minds. There they go. Off to Texas.
Texas, all right.
On to Texas, and then 6, finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world. They're going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The U.S. has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. So, and may I add, his rebrand includes dressing like Jay-Z, I think, or something.
I mean, the physical rebrand's big thing too, because he started weightlifting and now he's got like a fro or whatever. Gone are the days where he's cosplaying as Commander Data from Star Trek: The Next Generation. He looks like a real man.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like meta is no longer beta. Let's go. All right.
He's also wearing what is being reported to as a $900,000 watch.
That is
that is a very beautiful thing on his wrist.
Yeah.
A little bit of a weird flex there, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
so I have thoughts.
You have thoughts to watch out of all of that?
No, not on the watch. I just wanted to point it out because the guy is like worth billions of dollars. So not quite as much as his friend Elon.
I think he saw. I think some of. I mean, again, the cynical, 100% cynical take would be he saw that what X had done, which was very good. The community notes, X formerly Twitter, community notes is awesome. Politicians just get on there and they lie about stuff. Like Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota, got on there and lied and said all these police officers died during the J6 riots. Like, actually, the only person who died on January 6th was a protester, Ashley Babbitt, when she was shot and murdered by a cop. So people would do community notes. You post stuff on there that's full of garbage and it's untrue, then it gets flagged. It's still there. It's not like it's deleted or censored, but you get a little community notes like, hey, by the way, you might find this interesting that this is a total lie. And that's the better way to do it than the takedown posts, And I hope the cynical thing would be, Facebook is just doing this because they're worried a bunch of boomers are going to leave the Facebook and they're going to lose money. I'm going to say that probably factored into some of the decision, but I do feel like Zuckerberg is a changed man. I mean, there's enough indication that, not that he's a conservative, but, putting UFC Dana White on the board of directors, that was a shock.
Yeah, that was Monday. And for me, when I saw that, I was like, oh, I think we're going to see a policy change coming down the pike.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be so fast. And look, like all of the points that you nicely laid out there, Tom, all of those are good things. And is it, again, like you said, Josh, the cynical take is he's doing this because he wants to survive the next 4 years. And if there hadn't been the election outcome, he never would have done this. That's probably true. And it is possible, right or wrong, right. And it's possible to do the right thing. Most of us act in mixed motives. Zuckerberg's probably has a mix of, more.
That's going to be the theme of this whole episode, by the way.
Exactly. It's the theme of today, mixed motives. And I do think that he probably has a genuine desire to promote free speech. He gave a phenomenal talk at Georgetown that he actually mentioned in this video that he put out in 2019. So prior to the 2020 debacle, about free speech and about how he wanted more voices and more opinions out there, and he was going to fight for it. What Zuckerberg has been consistent about, though, is he goes with the political climate. I mean, he did it in all of this sort of started in 2016 when Trump won the election. Facebook starts its censorship in this whole disinformation, misinformation, Russia. And they start getting hammered by people like Dianne Feinstein. She had all those hearings at the Hill where she openly threatened social media platforms because they saw that it was Facebook and Twitter where Trump had won the election, because those were the platforms where independent news outlets like Daily Wire Plus, later on, like The Loop, we were able to get a foothold into people's homes and get them information that they weren't getting from legacy media. So they start cracking down in 2017, and Facebook, as Zuckerberg has said in testimony, goes along with it, and they try to accommodate that. It hits high speed, warp speed in 2020, though, and then of course 2021 with the Biden administration.
And not just because of the election, but because of COVID. That was the health emergency.
COVID's 2020 and health. Right. Then you get the election. It was the apex of it all. And so I'm really happy that Zuckerberg's coming around again. For whatever reasons, I will take all of these initiatives that he's outlining. These would be good things for Meta. But I would like to see some concrete action. And we need it to last longer than a presidential administration for it to make a real difference.
Right, because it can come back. Like, that's why we need Trump for 4 years, and we need Vance for another 4 years after that. We need a good 8-year stretch before they can ever try to pull these shenanigans again, because you're right. It was amazing to have social media for a while because we didn't have to rely on the filter of the corporate media to approve and sanitize all the news for your consumption.
Yeah.
But, this has been a great awakening. This 21st century really has. Like, the 20th century, there was these established media, NBC, and then we got CBS and all, the nightly news with people you can trust, Walter Cronkite, and he's a lying SOB, but he was treated with respect. I mean, he's referred to like he's a saint, and he's full of crap. But now we're actually able to get beyond these filters and communicate directly with the people through social media, and then they shut that down for us. Now, finally, kudos to Elon Musk for what he did with X. Kudos to Donald Trump for winning. Thank the good Lord. And we might actually have free speech.
Yeah, I think there's obviously so much here, but based on, because I've seen whenever I've posted about it, people and I don't trust him, and I think that's a reasonable response. But again,
I
when
guess. I mean, what do they mean by that, Tom? What do you?
right, like they don't think you'll follow through, they think it's cynical, whatever. But to my point, I'm like, it
They don't
honestly
think they don't think Zuckerberg's.
they don't think Zuckerberg's legit. They think that it's a suck up move. They don't think he's actually going to follow through. They think he's being a snake. That being said, so 2 points. One, I think you're right, Josh. I think he actually has undergone a very transformative experience in terms of the people he associates with, the lifestyle that he lives. I actually have a former professor, one of my favorite former politics professors, shout out James M. Patterson on Twitter. He put together a good thread of just his history with the UFC, what he's done himself. Like people don't really understand how much he has changed. It's not just about this election. And then he goes through and does a lot of detail on his association with Dana White, his training with all of these.
He went out and touched grass, I guess, as the kids
Really,
say.
truly, yeah. And defending Rogan, putting Dana on the board, I think is the biggest thing. All that being said, do I need someone to be a saint for good things to happen? No. I think all 6 of these policies were so shockingly good. It doesn't matter to me whether or not he's done this out of the goodness of his heart or whether he sees the writing on the wall in terms of pocketbook. Just from a personal experience of Facebook, what has Facebook become absent of relevant cultural commentary? It's like a wasteland of AI, of like a squirrel on the back of Jesus. Like it's really bizarre. Like a lot of the AI stuff on Facebook is insane. It's bizarre. It's out of touch. And I think Zuck himself recognizes this, saw the success of X, and said, if I want to survive, if we want to be a relevant platform, we need to embrace, as he said, out of what was going on was out of touch with the cultural. I need to go find that exact sentence. This is just so crazy he said that. On topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. Obviously, if you're going to censor and sanitize everything that is said on stuff that people actually care about debating, no one's going to go to your platform anymore. I mean, look at what happened with Blue Sky. Look at what happened with whatever. Like everyone's on X saying what they actually think. And whether or not you agree with everyone on X on their stance or whatever, it actually legitimately feels like you can say what you actually think. I know I'm sounding crazy, but we were about this close to having nowhere. You could say what you actually thought, not just what you actually thought, the actual truth.
We can't let people forget how close it was to being snuffed out.
You couldn't say that there was
had not succeeded, we would have had no voice this last election. I mean, that was a pivotal moment in American and world history. And yeah, I think we do forget that too often. And on the flip side of that, it's hard to forget the damage, though, that Zuckerberg and Meta did to the country with trying to, and again, he says like he trusted the FBI. He thought they were a good organization. I rewatched the clips from his Rogan interview in 2022 when Rogan's asking him, well, like what happened? Did they call you? And he's like, yeah, well, I mean, the FBI, they came knocking and the Hunter Biden laptop just had to go away. And he actually admits to all of it. And I look back at those years and, looking at Ben Shapiro just put out his viewership went down in 2021 90%. He had over 1 billion hits coming in a week on his page, and within days of the Hunter Biden laptop story, he went down 90%. It was like it never happened. And then we had like the New York Post story, the Sunday editor who put in Stephen Mosier's story about the Wuhan lab leak. She was saying that it was the most viral story they had. And then suddenly within days, she could watch the little green line just take a vertical plunge. And this, in a way, I think Zuckerberg working with the government, working with the FBI, it was understandable because he wanted to do the right thing. And there were crazy stories out there, blah, blah, blah. But these people's lives were completely turned upside down. They had to revamp and in some cases would go off and found new organizations like the Free Press. So in the end, was it a net? In the end, was it a net gain? Sure, but they went through hell because of what. And I really would love to see these new initiatives put into action. No, they're not even new; they're just copycat initiatives from Musk put into action on Meta.
But we can't forget this scandal because we did have agencies of our federal government that were trying to undermine the free speech of U.S. citizens, to try to manipulate election results. Like that is
Do
Wait,
not forget
here I
that.
feel-
like even in the secular realm here that we're talking about, like of course the worst thing you could do is to deface the Eucharist, but like from a secular standpoint, like what's the worst thing you could do in a free country? Under their own terms would be to use, I don't know, federal law enforcement officials to dampen free speech in order to manipulate election results. Like that is like the
That's the
cardinal
end.
sin.
Yeah.
Like is that's like,
Wow.
and the left loves to talk about how much they love Thomas Jefferson and separate church and state and whatnot. Like Thomas Jefferson, if he were alive today, he would like want to strangle him with his bare hands. Like, are you kidding me? That you have an agency of the federal government that's supposed to go after pornographers and people who fraud banks and try to commit,
And
serial
run child
killings around the
trafficking
country.
rings.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're using
what are
that
they
same
doing?
agency to prevent people from talking with each other about politics.
All right. So
What?
I mean, I have to bring this up. Like people forget how crazy the last 4 years were because everything feels good now. We were about an inch away from having this woman in charge of what is true and false on the internet.
I forgot about her.
The U.S. Ministry of Truth. Yes, this actually happened.
Ministry of Truth.
This was the Disinformation Governance Board. Nina Jankowicz was about to be put in charge of whether or not you could say that there are two genders. And if you want a taste of what we almost got to experience, you can't thank Trump
It's
enough.
really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious.
What a
It's how you hide
buffoon.
a lie
Oh
with
my
lie.
gosh, we dodged a bullet.
And we almost funded
theater
State
kids.
Department's, agency that was going to try to push the levers on speech. That was the bloated, government funding bill in December. But Donald Trump, stepped up to the plate and said, "No, you shouldn't pay." He wasn't even president yet. Still not president. He's like, "This bill's terrible." So we got that defunded. That was not a part of the new budget. So that was another win for this.
I'm thinking we're back. And
Yeah.
if you would like to have a vibe shift when it comes to your phone company, Charity Mobile. Come on, guys.
Come on.
Make the switch. Make it happen.
Make the switch. Pull a
Make
Zuck.
the switch.
Change your life.
It's the pro-life phone company. And when you switch to Charity Mobile, 5% of your monthly plan price goes to a pro-life, pro-family charity of your choice at no extra cost to you. Everyday living made effortless giving. Christmas season's still going on. We're Catholic. Christmas is still going on. So perfect time to make the switch. New customers can get a free phone, free activation, free standard shipping, free travel charging kit. I mean, come on now. Just use the promo code LOOPCast. That is promo code LOOPCast. You can visit CharityMobile.com for all the details. And again, same nationwide coverage, major carriers. Charity Mobile has a variety of plans, fit every need, basic talk and text to unlimited data, and you can get up to 8 lines. They offer a range of phones, from simple flip phones to the latest 5G smartphones, or you can bring your own compatible device. Plus, there's no contracts, no termination fees, and a 30-day guarantee. So there's no risk in giving them a try. Seriously, guys, you got to try Charity Mobile. Thank you so much for sponsoring this episode. Have a vibe shift when it comes to your charitable giving.
Hey, and it's big family friendly. Did you hear that? 8 lines. That's like large family friendly. So I'm a fan.
Pro-natalist. Come on.
Sounds better every time you say it, Tom.
Every time. So if you guys want to talk about, well, actually, sorry, before we move on,
Yeah, can we do this?
Meta narrative of fact checking being damaging to the public trust, which obviously it was. The fact checkers have responded via New York Times. Any guesses on what they said?
Oh, they don't like this at all.
Meta says fact checkers were the problem. Fact checkers rule that false.
Who wrote that headline? It was Seth Dillon at the Babylon Bee.
No, actually, it's funny. Kyle Mann at the Babylon Bee actually said, "Whoever wrote this headline has a job offer waiting for you at the Babylon Bee." That's awesome.
That would be the Gray Lady in all of her glory. New York Times. Wow, how far they have fallen.
I don't know what kind of megalomaniac you need to be to consider yourself a fact checker. Like,
gosh.
I am the arbiter of what's true and false. And if you want to talk about like I feel like they think that it's like a batting percentage. Like if they hit 300 on the truth, that they're good somehow. I would say it's pretty close to that.
Hey,
I'm shooting for 100.
I like to say, follow the money.
Yeah, amen to that,
The
brother.
fact checkers get like 5% of their annual budget comes from fact checking Facebook posts, so they're going to lose money because of this change. It's a big deal. Yeah, all these fact checkers, they get paid to check, whether or not this meme is true or not. They get 5% of their total annual revenue was from Facebook for checking stuff last year. So that money's gone.
Wow.
Good.
That's shocking.
Good riddance.
All to be
It's
terrible.
the
I mean,
Yeah.
they're good at it. It's like being a weatherman. Seriously,
it's the tyranny of the experts. It's the tyranny of experts who have gained their expertise by jumping through all the hoops in our crazy education system or our crazy like networking systems. And we just need to end it. Like, bye-bye. Be your own expert. Go read original documents.
like what will forever have radicalized me, and comedians are now doing this, and it's hilarious. So they're like, yeah, there's this novel disease or virus coming out of China.
Another one.
What do you think could be responsible for this? Do you think it's the specific coronavirus lab that we fund in China, or
In that same city where the breakout happened?
where the breakout happened, or it's because someone ate a bat?
In a wet market.
A bat. Like, oh, you don't think it has anything to do with the testing?
I mean, that's when you ask the person who's trying to push forward that theory, okay, I will believe you if you take your entire house, mortgage, everything, all the assets you own, and put that on black. And you're like, yep, that's what had happened. It was the bat.
I swear there's people that would swear up and down it was a bat. That is just the craziest period of time in my life.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm glad the fact that checkers are dead officially. So two other vibe shift points that I thought I'd bring up here. So again, maybe Bezos is getting in on cozying up to the Trump administration. Melania Trump signed a document with him,
Yep.
whopping some cameos from Barron and Donald. I believe it was a $40 million deal
$40 million.
to license a documentary on her life. The documentary is going to be directed by Rush Hour auteur Brett Ratner. It's set to release later this year.
You know what this sounds like to me?
What?
Amazon Web Services doesn't want to lose government contracts.
We'll put Melania on the front page. Yeah, and this was the woman
and a
who-
Melania video that'll get some clicks. I mean, she's gorgeous. I mean, this is
right.
not dumb.
And I think it is a vibe shift because this is the woman who, like, she wasn't on Vogue like every other first lady has ever been. She wasn't even covered. She wasn't on the talk shows. She was just blacklisted because her last name is Trump. And for her to be getting this deal, look, like, I disagree with her obviously on the pro-life thing. She's got some growing to do. Oh gosh, I just got a massive fact check. Speaking of the fact checkers, did I say 100? Oh my gosh, I'm the girl, guys. I'm just here to be the pretty face. That's all. I'm not here for the brains.
I thought that was my job.
No, oh gosh, Erica, don't flatter yourself.
Anyway, so go Melania. Definite vibe shift. That's my. Thanks for the fact check.
Well, no, we'll see how much of the vibe shift we get if she does get on the cover of Vogue. That would be a real
vibe shift.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have another vibe shift to report. Ooh. So McDonald's, everyone wants to get their
big year for McDonald's. Big year.
He's Josh, big McDonald's guy. McDonald's had numerous far left policies in response to leading anti-woke activists. We're talking about Robbie Starbuck. The scalp that he took.
He is just on a tear. That guy's awesome.
Big time.
I mean, I would say a big year for McDonald's. They're getting rid of this horrible, woke, corrosive, racist policies, DEI, and then one of their employees out of Pennsylvania got elected president. So I mean, it's a big year for them.
Big facts. So specifically in terms of their policies, they will end their diversity goals for how many of each race they will hire. That seems like a nice start. They'll no longer participate in the HRC's woke corporate equity index.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes. That's the best part to me.
And for those unaware, that is what forces the transgender into workplace exchange for a perfect score. They also won't participate in other third-party surveys.
HRC is not reference to Hillary Rodham Clinton, but the Human Rights
They are easily confused. Campaign, I just have to say that.
Which is a rainbow jihad group.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever see it's a blue square with a yellow equal sign. If you ever see that bumper,
that's HRC.
That's HRC. Yeah. And actually, so out of all of these, and I'm going to get to a few more, the corporate equity index scoring system thing is probably the most important. I mean, we're talking about McDonald's now a global $1 trillion company. $1 trillion, right? Is that an exaggeration to say?
Oh, it's got to be.
It's over $1 trillion. Yeah.
So what happens with this equity score is that not only is it for used as kind of a cudgel by different activist groups, it's used as investment as well. So a lot of people take part in it so that they can get investments from places like BlackRock, Vanguard. So it's actually really pernicious in terms of whether or not a business will be able to succeed. But if you look at the score, it's super extreme. I mean, supporting gender affirming care, quote unquote, surgeries for employees. Do you hire enough people based on their sexual orientation? It's pretty crazy. I don't have it in front of me, but if anyone wants to look it up, corporate equity index from the HRC, it's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
So they're ending supplier diversity. They're ending the DEI pledge for their supply chain. This means no diversity quotas or goals will exist for how they choose or prioritize suppliers. Folks will now be on merit. Their diversity team will be evolving, quote unquote, this year into simply a, quote, inclusion team. Not sure how I feel about that one, but yeah, first corporate vote for 2025.
Right. No, I think this is great. And it is like McDonald's is a pretty massive cultural bellwether, I think, in America. I mean, like everyone's touched by McDonald's, including RFK even
It's on
on
every
the Trump Force One there.
They made him eat a Big Mac.
They made him. I'm sure the guys were just being guys. But no, it's great to see them join the John Deere bandwagon, Tractor Supply Company, all of these. So next it's time for Costco to get on board. Just want to say that as a mother of a large family. Come on, Costco.
Yeah.
Let's go.
On the
I'm not
train.
sick of winning yet, are you?
No, W's all day long.
So if we're talking about someone that needs to get on board with the Vide shift, it's going to be LA County's fire department or California. What is going on there is nothing short of shocking. I mean, I have videos to show here. This is LA.
Well, first we want to, send out our prayers for everyone in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like there's horrible scene going on there with the wildfires, the massive 100-mile-an-hour gusts. A lot of people's lives are in danger. So our thoughts and prayers go out to them.
Yeah.
Very much.
I mean, so for those wondering, this is Palisades. This is a very nice part of California and completely on fire, stuff that's been here for years.
Yeah.
Of course, the first questions that come to my mind is California deals with wildfires. This isn't a new phenomenon. Why were they not prepared? So for a little bit of background, currently 3 concurrent fires raging across California. They burned around 5,000 acres and forced over 30,000 people to evacuate from homes, businesses, and hospitals. The origins of the fire is still under investigation, but more than 200,000 lost power in the LA area because of the fires, because of strong winds that are feeding the flames. So began at 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, scorched over 3,000 acres of land between Santa Monica and Malibu. The Hearst fire in Sylmar, northwest downtown LA, burned 500 acres. Around 6:30, the Eaton fire in Altadena near Pasadena has consumed more than 2,200 acres. So as of now, the California National Guard has not been deployed. I'm not sure exactly why. Why is it taking so long? Currently, your guess is as good as mine. And there's no water in the fire hydrants. So if you notice in these videos, no one's even trying to fight these fires because they don't have any
water
to fight them with. So that's why everyone has had to evacuate. Now, I know it's obviously a dry area of the country.
Yeah.
You would think from a city planning perspective, you'd find a way to get water in these fire hydrants.
Well, water is an essential thing for every municipality, but my friend who used to live in Los Angeles would tell me, he grew up there, born there, and he said in Los Angeles, the most power rested in the people in control of the water because it is a desert, Los Angeles. It's not a place that naturally has a lot of water. I mean, obviously, you're like, oh, it's on the ocean. Well, that's salt water. There's no natural water supply, and they had to, get water coming down, from far away, all these aquifers, bring it in there. Again, the thing about California, conservatives are always like, "Hey, you're mismanaging everything in your state, and it's you're screwing things up." And what's going to happen when emergency comes along? Well, that's what we have right now. We have an emergency, and everyone is in trouble. A fire doesn't care if you're a billionaire. A fire doesn't care if you're socially conscious and have a nice little electric vehicle. Well, maybe it likes your electric vehicle because they'll go up fire. But it's like, the fires don't care about your DEI score. It's gonna harm everyone in its tracks. Like, get with the program. You need to have.
Gosh,
it's just frustrating.
I hate to even have to show this, but of course this is making your point. LA Fire Chief historic first woman and member of the LGBTQ community
Oh my gosh.
in terms of
What was her priorities?
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I say, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's
Only?
already looking at
Gosh.
ways to change that. She's quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
They feel included, they feel valued, and they feel part of a cohesive team.
The chief also checks another box when it comes to inclusivity and diversity at this department. She's a proud member of the LGBTQ community.
That just kind of opens the door of people that thought, wow,
Oh
I
my
didn't even
gosh.
know that was an opportunity for me. I'm super.
Okay, like when my house is burning down, I don't care who you want to have sex with. Like I don't care if it's a man,
put
woman,
the fire
dog.
out.
Like put the fire out, guys. This just drives me bonkers. As
She's
they're
a
showing footage
trailblazer.
of these fires. She's a trailblazer. I know. Get it? That was really fun. Dad joke of the day. But honestly, like I don't know how these people live with themselves as people are dying on their watch, and they're like, well, at least the firefighters are black.
I just want like common sense to always be the guide. Okay. So like, like I was watching this clip, the great tennis player, John McEnroe, and he's made the comment that Venus Williams was, or Serena, I get them always confused. Serena Williams was the best female tennis player of all time. And the person was like correcting her, like, wait, correcting him, like, wait, why did you say best female tennis player of all time? And he's like, well, kind of obvious. And she's like, and the person was still upset at him for it. He's like, oh, well, we can settle this once for all. We don't have to have separate men and women's tennis. We can have them all play against each other, and then you'll know. And then, she herself was on, I don't know, a late night TV show a few years back, and she's like, oh, if I went up against the number one men's I wouldn't last 5 minutes.
Yeah, she's like, it'd be over. It would be 6 minutes.
So it's like common sense. So it's like, to me, it's like, can women be firefighters? Sure. Are they going to be as good as a male fire? I mean, probably not. Like, let's just be honest. Like, men are larger. They have more upper body strength. That doesn't mean that the best woman can't compete and be a firefighter, but like, stop playing games. Like we're talking about lives now. It's like, it's not just, it drives me up the wall.
Any guess where the mayor is right now?
Not in Los Angeles, I'm guessing.
Not there.
Over in Ghana.
Why are you in Ghana? You're the mayor of Los Angeles. I just can't.
It's like if someone just tried to do the worst possible thing all the time and squandered one of that's because what's funny, we're going to get into the Greenland conversation here, but Canada, the Canadians are making jokes like, we're going to take Canada or California and make it into Canada. And it's like, some people are like, oh yeah, you could take it. But like, California is beautiful. California is one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. We're not even just talking about the country.
It's paradise.
All of
I mean, San Diego, it's like
It's
incredible.
why people put up with the politics to
That's
be
why
there. Yeah.
in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, people were flocking to California. I wish they all could be California girls. And then what's happened now?
Nice.
They look at U-Haul put out its statistics, and they say like, more people are moving, more U-Hauls are going into South Carolina. That's the number one state than are leaving. Every state, California is number 50. It's like people are getting the heck out of there. And, this fire is just one more reason.
But hey, at least the police chief is gay and a woman. And I believe
so diverse.
Here is also a woman, right? Bass?
I believe so.
She's so terrible.
Again. And then I also see, so Kelly in the chat, I'm not sure if she's from LA, said that she cut the fire department budget by $20 million. Water not coming out of the fire hydrants. No one knows why. The reservoir was not filled up like it usually is. Someone can fact check me on that, but I mean, again, it's like if you tried to do the opposite of everything you should do all the time, and then this happens, and no one.
Aggressive mind virus ideology, and it's ruining people's lives.
Pray for California, man. Pray for LA. I mean, couldn't even imagine being stuck in that. I know. Shout out our girl Peachy Keenan. Pray for Peachy. Hopefully, she had to evacuate. Her house was right next to all these fires. I mean, she's sending updates. Crazy, man. Can't even imagine. All right, so we got a few more things to get to here. We have the Laken-Riley bill. So it's just passed the House. And interestingly, it's got some co-sponsors that were not expected. One of them being Senator Ruben Gallego and Senator John Fetterman, who, again, keeps rising up the ranks for maybe next presidential candidate from the Democrats.
Oh my gosh.
So the House of Representatives Tuesday passed the Laken-Riley Act, comprehensive border security bill in honor of the University of Georgia nursing student brutally murdered by an illegal immigrant in February. The bill passed by a 264 to 159 vote, with all the votes in opposition cast by Democrats. The measure now heads to the Senate, where Republicans will presently hold 52 seats. Next week, the number will increase to 53 when Senator-elect Jim Justice takes office. So it requires the Department of Homeland Security to detain certain non-U.S. nationals who have been arrested for burglary, theft, larceny, and shoplifting, according to an official summary. The bill also authorizes states to sue the federal government for decisions or alleged failures related to immigration enforcement.
Yes. Yes.
What are we thinking?
I mean,
There's
this is, yeah, go ahead. No, you go for it, Josh.
There's so much going on behind the scenes because what happened is, this Republicans telegraphed this was going to be the first thing that they're going to focus on when the new Congress was sworn in on Friday. So this bill comes up, and Democrats had to decide what they were going to do. They know it's going to pass the House, and then when it gets over to the Senate, the Democrats are asking themselves, should we block it? Should we use the filibuster to block this bill? And they decided they were not going to whip or organize votes against it. Basically, they were telling Democrats in the Senate Democrats are saying, Chuck Schumer, hey, we're not going to convince you that you have to vote no. We're going to let you decide. So that was the first signal. And it was probably because John Fetterman said, I'm going to vote for this. Because John Fetterman realizes he represents a state that is in Pennsylvania that is shifting rightward. And John Fetterman you got to keep your eyes on this guy. I mean, this is the guy 2 years ago we thought, because of the stroke, he's brain dead or whatever. He's the only one who has got any brains on the Democratic side, it seems like these days. And he is kind of sneaky smart on this. And he came out the first Democrat, and then the Democrat from New Hampshire, Jean Shaheen, she's like, well, I'm not sure. I'm going to review it. And then John Ossoff from Georgia said he would not filibuster it. He would allow it to proceed, and that they tried to debate it, but he wouldn't promise how he'd vote on the final bill because he has to see what it looks like. And then, Ruben Gallego says, I'm going to support this. Ruben Gallego, this guy was like a communist when he was in the House. He represented Tucson, which is the most liberal area of Arizona, and his record was far, far left. But he's looking like he's ripping a page out of the playbook of the senator that he replaced, Kristen Sinema, who was super lefty, who became like a non-communist. Not that she became conservative. Yeah. And so, whoa! So this is the opportunity for some of these Democrats to say, "I'm not totally psycho crazy left wing."
Right.
And they're going to use this as an opportunity. So when they campaign for office 2 or 4 or 6 years from now, they'll be like, and I supported the Laken-Riley Act. Don't let them get away with it.
Yes.
Dude, that's like the bare minimum. This is a guy who came into our country illegally and murdered a college student. And you're so brave that you're going to support a law that says we should kick these guys out of our country? What do you want, a cookie?
Right.
Of course you're supposed to do this.
Josh, what does that say about the people that voted against that? We're talking about the bare minimum. People that murdered people who aren't Americans shouldn't be in the country. And people voted against that.
Well, and it was just last year. Some of these people are switching now. They were voting against it. This episode should just be called "Elections Have Consequences," right? We got the vibe shift from Zuckerberg, and now we have the vibe shift in the Congress. Which, again, like you said, Josh, I'm not tired of winning. Let's just keep going.
Well,
this
speaking of winning,
passed last year. This, like you said, this should have passed. Nice. Oh, we've got the laser.
But if Kamala had won, would this be happening?
Oh no, absolutely not.
No.
This is Trump effect,
Elections
and he hasn't even taken
have
office.
consequences.
Yeah. Yep. I'm very excited to watch the inauguration. It's coming up.
It's interesting to just sit and think about this. I feel like courage is contagious, obviously, and to think about the political comeback that Trump mounted is still hard to even believe that it was real and happened, but I feel like he opened up the door for people to be public and honest about what they really thought about the country, what they really thought the problems would be, that the problems that they were experiencing, they could be public about and work towards. And I think, of course, we give him a lot of credit here, but if Trump would have just laid down and been like, this is just too much to come back from, January 6th.
The heck with it, I'm done.
Which he could have done. Go enjoy your retirement.
He's rich. I mean, he didn't have to
Right.
do it. And he just took the brunt. I mean, what was one of his most convincing lines always to me was, they're not coming for me. They're coming for you. I'm just standing in the way.
Yep.
And to think about what message that sent to everyone from the lowest class of economic society, people in the middle class who are being persecuted by an oppressive FBI censorship regime, it's massive. So,
and the political correctness, woke DEI stuff that like descended like a fog on all of our institutions, whether you're in college, whether you got a job at some, Fortune 500 company and they've suddenly gone totally crazy. I mean, all these companies, we know what it's like in June. They go rainbow everywhere, unless, of course, not their Middle East social media accounts.
right. Depends on what country, Josh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, good talk there. I'm going to honorary make this my Twilight Zone. It'll be a little bit longer. Are we buying Greenland?
Oh, boy.
So I'm going to affectionately name this section Trump Manifest Destiny. He has brought back Manifest Destiny. It's talked about changing the Gulf of the video of him saying he's going to change the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. I just have to play in its totality. It just makes me laugh every time I hear him say it. Here we go.
We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate.
Now, I will say on the Gulf of Mexico point, he kind of has a point, because if you look at what's going on here, look at this.
Yeah.
Oh, man. This is America.
This just perfectly gets to one of the things about Donald Trump, okay? So why is it that the left has such a derangement syndrome against Donald Trump? And I do think it cuts to this issue of patriotism. Whether or not we rename this body of water, I don't really could give a rip, okay? But like I said before, where he hugs the American flag and the left just goes, ugh, because the left thinks, don't you also hate your country's heritage and everything it stands for? Don't you feel totally ashamed to be an American? Aren't you riddled with guilt? And Donald Trump's like, no, dude, I love it. I love it. I want to eat a Big Mac. I love America. Give me a diet, get Coke. This is great. We live in the best country ever. And they're just like, oh my gosh, this guy not only isn't ashamed of his country, he loves his country. It drives them crazy. So when he's like, maybe we should buy Greenland and watch, hey, maybe we'll make Canada another state of the union. And most of us just kind of like laugh at, this is kind of funny.
And they're like, evil empire.
Because we love our country. Like, this is cool. It'd be cool to have more, whatever.
I have something on that.
And the left loses their minds.
All right, so I'd like to separate this in three parts. All right, so we already did Gulf of America, which is just hilarious. People have lost their minds on. The other thing is Justin Trudeau resigned.
Oh, yeah.
Which his legacy will be freezing the bank accounts of truckers, censoring his own people, bringing in people to replace Canadians.
Killing off
his
all the
anti-Catholic bigotry. Let's not forget that.
No.
Which, funny,
Indigenous schools.
This has gotten around to mainstream news. People have now posted bravely that the graves under the Canadian churches were fake. It was all a hoax.
Yeah.
We're saying, wow, we're bringing this to the light. We're being really honest and bold, journalistic, whatever. We knew about this 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And we were the ones taking credit for it.
18 months.
Getting burnt to the ground over this. And you didn't say a word. So you can go pound sand up in Canada. But anyway, when you're the 51st state. So this lame Canadian politician who was freaking out about how dangerous Trump is for saying that Canada's going to be the 51st state is now trying to become Trump herself.
Yes.
What?
Hey, Donald, have we got a deal for you? You think we want to be the 51st state? Nah, but maybe California would like to be the 11th province. How about it? California, Oregon, Washington? You've got geography in common with us. And not only that, we've already got a carbon trading system between California and Quebec. We've got some strong alliances on our west coast from British Columbia. There's been a lot of academic papers on the idea of Cascadia.
Oh
so
God.
California.
I mean, she can't even do Trump right.
I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, I mean, she should have,
Peevish.
I mean, if you said, "Hey, would you trade California, Oregon, and Washington for like Saskatchewan and Alberta?" I'm like, I'm thinking about that.
Actually,
But I don't want to give communists in Ottawa full West Coast access. No, thank you.
Montreal.
Huh?
I would never bring the rudeness of Montreal to America. You can have them. We'll take all of Canada except Montreal. Okay. So the other thing that I had on this point, and
Montreal, headquarters of the nasty website.
sorry, I'm talking about Quebec. Actually, I think
Quebec.
where they only speak French.
Montreal is a city in Quebec.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's how much I know about Canadian geography. Okay, but Pierre, and I actually think my take on this is I think Trump actually respects this. Back to saying that America's great and people hate that. Pierre Poilievre, Canada will never be the 51st.
You have to set up who this guy is. We know him, but
Pierre he's the guy that chews on the apple and shreds journalists.
Leader of the Conservative Party.
Leader of the Conservative
Likely
Party.
to be the next prime minister in October.
Likely to be the next prime minister. Thank you, Josh. So his tweet, Canada will never be the 51st state, period. We are a great and independent country. We are the best friend to the U.S. We spent billions of dollars, hundreds of lives helping Americans retaliate against al-Qaeda, yada, yada, yada. Our weak and pathetic NDP liberal government has failed to make these obvious points. I will fight for Canada when I am prime minister. We will rebuild our military, take back control of the border, and secure both Canada and the U.S. We will take back control of our Arctic to help keep Russia and China out. We will axe taxes, slash red tape, rapidly greenlight massive resource projects to bring home paychecks. Is that a really weird way to say paychecks?
That's how they spell it, yeah.
That's how they spell it up there.
Heck, we're going to change that as soon as we make them the Paychequus. What?
That's the old English way, yeah.
I don't like that. And production to our country. In other words, we will put Canada first. Now, to Josh's point, I actually think that this idea of Trump loving America so much, being unabashedly saying America's great, and negotiating on behalf of America's interests first is infectious. And we've all witnessed the world under this kind of globalist World Economic Forum nonsense where it's like, you're going to take these people, it's for the best of the world, whatever. And now I actually love this idea of, I would love to see a strong Canada. And I would love to see someone speak about Canada in this way instead of this smarmy, America's so dangerous, Canada's inclusive, whatever to the world. Clearly that failed under Justin Trudeau.
Okay.
He's supposed to be this empathetic leader. So
I think Donald Trump pushed out Justin Trudeau. I think Trump pushing for the tariff and then Justin Trudeau no, because this government was so, wobbly anyway. And then he has to fly down to Mar-a-Lago and basically beg Trump not to do this. Here, I got to show you this. You should show it. Have you seen this clip? This is hilarious. So this Canadian comic made fun of Trudeau and all this stuff. This thing is so good, dude.
Is this explicit? Do we have to give a warning?
I don't think there's any swear words. No, I don't think so.
Let's rock.
Never. Mr. President, I must admit I was worried that you were going to try to humiliate me.
I would never embarrass you, Justin. Are you kidding me?
Thank you, Donald.
Now I want to see you eat it.
Excuse me? The hamburger.
The Big Mac, the president of all burgers. I'm going to make you eat it like a dog with no hands.
Mr. President, I have self-respect.
Not so much, to be honest. I mean, he came like a dog, didn't he? He really did.
Mon ami, I come to you not on bended knee, but as an equal.
30% tariff.
My father taught me to
50% tariff.
We Canadians are a hearty lot.
60% tariff.
For Canada!
He eats it like a dog. Oh my gosh, that was great. That was awesome.
Would someone like to narrate for the audio listeners on that one?
That was perfect. The comic impersonating Trump gets.
I think the audio listeners have to go to the YouTubes to see that because
a lot of Canadians did feel like Trump orchestrated that perfectly. He got Justin Trudeau to fly down to Mar-a-Lago and beg and whine and complain and ask for morsels, and Trump played him like a fool. And I think that was probably the last straw on an already, like I said, very his government was so close to toppling anyway. So we'll see. Changes afoot. I mean, it's amazing how much Donald Trump has been able to do. He still hasn't even been sworn in yet. He's got like 12 days to go. It's quite a thing.
I can't believe you said that, and I had to think about it for a second. He's not the president right now. He's done all of this without being the president right now.
That's what I'm saying.
That is crazy. So my final point, I want to talk Greenland. Okay.
Yes.
So for background on Greenland, which maybe I could show a graph because I honestly couldn't even point it out before I looked this up. So here's Greenland, and it's currently under the Kingdom of Denmark, although they allow them a bunch of autonomy. So Greenland's right here. Okay. So as you look at that map, population of 57,000, has autonomy, but its economy is largely dependent on subsidies from Copenhagen, and it remains a part of the Kingdom of Denmark. During his first term as president, Donald Trump expressed an interest in buying the Arctic island. He was rebuffed then and has been now. When asked about Trump Jr.'s visit to Greenland, which Trump Jr.
That was yesterday, yeah.
Yeah. With Charlie Kirk.
That was so
insane.
Such trolling, international trolling.
So insane. The Danish prime minister, Mette Frederiksen, told Danish TV that Greenland belongs to the Greenlanders and that only the local population can determine their future. Now, that being said, the United States does have a U.S. Space Force base on Greenland currently. So it's not like we don't have a relationship with them. We do. And as you can see, pretty strategically located in between the Americas and Russia. So other thoughts, there's lots of oil there. So if we want to really get back to our roots as Americans, we go get that oil. You know how it goes.
Right.
And then
it's not just the oil. It also has a lot of the lithium and the nickel that we need to power our, energy economy going forward. And of course, it's strategically
rare minerals. That's right.
Located. Right. It's a strategically located. And actually, this was interesting. I dug this up this morning. President Harry Truman tried to buy it as well after World War II. Right.
It is the first time. Well, actually, no, before that. So this isn't the first time we talked about getting Greenland, by the way.
I think we should try to do it. I think we should try to give some deals here to Denmark,
So
I'm here for it.
Shout out Sagar and Genshi. 1868, U.S. State Department report on Greenland commissioned by Secretary Stewart.
After the Civil War. That's, really.
What else did Seward do?
S-E-W-A-R-D, sorry.
Yeah, Seward. You know what else he did?
What did he do?
He bought Alaska.
Did he really?
Yes.
A baron.
And when he did, people called it Seward's Folly. Now they're not laughing anymore.
Nope.
Can you imagine if we hadn't bought Alaska? That means the Soviet Union would have been all of Alaska because that was
in
all
North
part
America.
So
Where did we buy Alaska from?
Russia.
Are you serious?
Yes. It was owned by Russia. Can you imagine what the Cold War would have been like if the Russians would have had military bases all the way down? Because Alaska, that goes quite a bit down southeast.
Right.
That would have been bad news, bro.
Really bad news.
So was it just butted up to Canada then, as Alaska is now, but just owned by Russians? So did Canada have a border at that time?
I mean, the border wasn't that much different. I mean, Alaska was just part of Russia. Russia came over and they took over that part of the territory like in the mid 1800s or whatever it was.
Dude, I did not know that. That is very interesting.
I have a Catholic interest in Greenland as well, because people ask, okay, the first Catholic Mass in North America, of course, they think of Columbus, right? The first Roman Catholic Mass. They think of him, but no. Yeah, the Vikings, shout out to Mercer up there in Petoskey. And the Vikings, they came over, and after Leif Erikson's conversion to the Catholic Church, they actually built a church in the 11th century. So the Catholic Church has been in Greenland for over 1,000 years.
They had a mass in Greenland, but they also had one in what they called Vinland. So actually up in Canada. So Greenland doesn't count. Like they did both. So forget it. Yeah. And of course, we Vikings have a good sense of humor. We discover these islands and one is, full of hot springs and, beautiful vegetation. We call it Iceland. No one wants to go there. And then Greenland is just literally a big fat ice cube with nothing on it. So Greenland, check it out. So people come to Greenland. This is terrible. And if that was Iceland, we don't want anywhere to go. So
it's all well played. 4D chess.
Good job, Vikings.
I mean, that's like epic trolling. I mean, come on.
So I'll end with a potential projected new map of North America. Let's see. We have North America, Gulf of America, South America, also America with Greenland.
Yeah, so for the audio listeners, we just renamed Canada North America and Mexico South America, and then of course the Gulf of America, and now also America up there,
on Greenland.
Okay, all right. I listen. I've heard some comments in this chat. Kathy, Tom, your lack of education is stunning, and more probably, the education you were offered was lacking. I can't be the only one to know that we bought Alaska from Russia in the 1800s. So I'm a little bit shaky on my 1800s geography. That is crazy. I cannot be the only one that did not know that.
Seawards Folly is kind of well known, but
it's all right. But okay, just for the history of Pegasik's education, though, he was a late comer to the classical world. So tidbits like that, like Seward's Folly, that kind of trivia. It's not even trivia, really. Like, that's important. It's pretty important. Okay, it's like the Louisiana Purchase of Canada. So it's important, but that kind of information sticks best in the mind between 3rd and 5th grade. That's when, like, you want the kids to be absorbing it. Pogo, however, Pogo was not in a great educational environment 3rd through 5th grade, so we got to give him a little bit of leeway.
Oh, there. Finally, someone didn't know. Okay, so Tom's not alone. All right.
Confess. Thanks, Janji. That was really nice of you. Yeah, you're the only one, Tony.
That's crazy. I mean, listen, I was public educated, as apparently Kathy picked that up right away in 3rd to 5th grade, and we focused on the history of Michigan. So we didn't go that wild.
You were sick that day when they covered Alaska, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what the problem was? My teacher was sick, had a substitute. We watched Bill Nye the Science Guy, and that's
that's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So, all right, I rest the mic.
We'll excuse it, Pogo.
On to the next Twilight Zone. Let's see. Josh, your Twilight Zone.
Well, I think grocery stores are a big deal. They're a sign of freedom, and a great American triumph that we don't celebrate enough. There's this video going. It's making its way viral on the internet right now. It's a Cuban refugee, and they brought him to, I think it's a Costco, and he just. You got to watch this just to experience it. Like, it's an amazing sight. This guy left Communist Island. Here he is.
I'm gonna take the music because I think I'm gonna copyright it. But here's
he can't believe his eyes. He's this massive, and he's just gonna lift up these like 30-pound bags of meat. He's just He says, I could exercise with this, lift him up and down. He's going crazy. And then he gets actually teary. Like, you can just see him, like, the weight of the moment where he just realizes that this could happen in his own country if it not for the policies. And he kind of gets sad. Like, it's kind of humbling. And then here we are, apples, like perfect apples, tons of them, all great, and not ruined. And he's giddy. I mean, it's just a whole range of emotions, and you can just tell how thankful he is. And I bet, and the person that shared this video said, this guy should give lectures at the college campuses. Send him to Berkeley, send him to Harvard, Yale, Madison, and have him talk about what it was like to go to a grocery store. And this echoes for me that time when Russian President Boris Yeltsin in 1989 went to go visit NASA and to see the space station and all this other kind of stuff. And then when he was there, he wanted to take a side trip to a grocery store. And this small little decision changed world history. Mm-hmm. It really did. There's a link here. The Houston Chronicle got the picture of it. And Boris Yeltsin, he's in the grocery store and he's just like, he can't believe it. He's looking, and the joke is like, Jell-O pudding pops changed world history, because his arms are spread out. He's just aghast that a grocery store is full of every possible imagination. It's like every customer, every worker who comes into the store can eat like a king. Mm-hmm. This was huge. This underappreciated moment of human history. And again, I think it's a reminder to all of us that we live in a free country, but it could change. We should never take it for granted. We should be appreciative. And the problem in this country is not that people starve, and that's great that people don't starve. In fact, the problem in our country is that people are obese. Mm. We have unhealthy food. We don't take care of ourselves. But You know, no one really truly can go hungry in this country unless they're prevented from getting food. Like we have, we it's a great blessing we live in this country.
I actually thought a lot about that when I got to talk to someone who'd worked in food and processing and everything like that, ag, for a long time. And I think we're on a good trend of consumer sentiment to want to understand what goes into our bodies and how things are packaged, what chemicals are used, what's good or bad for us. And the trend is now through consumer pressure to change some of these things, which is great.
Right.
However, to look on the flip side of exactly what you're saying, how amazing is it that I could walk into a grocery store and get an apple any time of the year, out of season, in season, whatever? How amazing is it that I can go in and get meat every day?
And the quality of the meat.
Exactly. And so like we can engage. I feel like we're definitely more on the negative side when it comes to food supply in the country, but it is also good to look at the flip of like, wow, we've really innovated and made something amazing in America that just doesn't exist in many countries. And some of that innovation may too far, may be bad, but it's good that we're reeling it back, but to appreciate the other side, I think is important too.
100%.
Look at this comment we just got in the chat. Nikhil said, I got over my American guilt when I visited East Germany in 1987. Drunks fighting in the street at night. The toilet paper was brown lunch bag paper. I wrote letters home on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Brutal.
Yeah. And I
Brutal.
think for me, one of the most shocking periods of the COVID pandemic, the lockdowns, was walking into my grocery store down outside Atlanta, Georgia, and seeing empty shelves and empty rows and rows of empty shelves, not just like the toilet paper, that was like the big one, but we would have weeks where you couldn't get chicken, or you would have a week where you couldn't get flour or pasta sometimes. And I remember just walking through that, and like we're wearing our masks, and we're, I go home, take off my outer clothes and wash them before I went in to see the kids, because we're like trying to, and it was this weird feeling of, oh my gosh, is it happening here? Like it could happen here. If we don't appreciate and fight for the freedoms that we enjoy that make this possible. And I think videos like this are great. I make my kids watch them. I'm like, watch the Cuban guy in Costco and then complain to me about your frozen peas for dinner.
Yeah.
I'm that
Amen
mom.
to that.
All right, Erica.
All right. I was going to go all dark and like really depressing and Orwellian, but I think I'm going to stick with the vibe shift of this entire episode. It's been a great kind of pick me up. So the #1 podcast in the world at the start of 2025, it is not Joe Rogan. It's not Alex Cooper. It's not Mel Robbins. It is The Rosary in a Year with Father Mark Mary Ames of Ascension Press. I love there's his sweet face. He just has a very lovable face. And yes, indeed, The Rosary in a Year is the #1 global on Apple Podcasts to start us off. And it held that spot for 3 whole days at the beginning, and it's still continuing strong at #2. So I love this kind of story. We saw it before with Father Mike Schmidt's Bible in a Year being the #1 runaway hit. And now it's happening again with The Rosary, Our Lady. She's taken the podcasts by storm. I am happy to see the #1 spot to Our Lady. Just want to put that out there. Next year, Loopcast.
We need to get in the trust tree and find out how to do something in a year. Seriously.
Tom,
year in a
we
year.
have plans.
All right, good.
Ooh.
Trust tree, of course.
Ooh. A little teaser there, Josh.
Trust the process.
Trust
Okay.
the process. Okay, Joel Embiid. All right, guys. So that was a great episode. I need to go brush up on geography. Apparently, 60
You do that.
at today said they knew. 36 said they did not know. We got Alaska from Russia.
Oh, that's pretty good though. For you.
Okay,
but yeah, you should
it
go
was
brush up.
Seward. Do you know he was Secretary of State under which president?
1868. Grant.
I mean,
well, he started out under, wasn't he? He started under Lincoln, but yes, under Grant for the purchases, I believe.
oh, speaking of, did you guys see the newest documentary on Lincoln?
No. Oh no.
Good job.
My gosh.
Is he gay?
Yeah, it's basically about when he was gay. You can't even make this. Someone made the funniest video. They dressed up like Abraham Lincoln, and they're like, "Oh man, they're making another documentary about me. Let's see what's going on." It's like, "Oh, he's the greatest president. He freed the slaves. Yada yada yada." The question everyone's asking now: was he gay? And then he's like, What? No one's asking that question. What are you talking about? Of course, it's hysterical.
It's like a form of terrorism. It really is.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like when we sell a church and it becomes a bar. It's just like it's intended to demoralize. It's like we got to find ways to, I don't know, turn that shame table around and get back at these guys.
Let's do it. 2025, the year of turning the shame tables. Let's
Josh,
do it.
do you know about Clinton's ditch?
I don't.
Oh, yeah. Take that, Susan. Josh doesn't even know about it.
All right. We'll look it up and get back to you next time.
We'll get back to you on the next episode. We'll see you Friday. If you want to help us out, join the Champions Club, catholicvote.org/champions. Best way to help us out. Go check out Charity Mobile. Come on, guys. Make the switch. Leave us reviews, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can email me, loopcast@catholicvote.org. But pray for us, of course. Most important thing, St. Thomas More, St. Fidelis, Our Lady of Guadalupe. Pray for us. And we will see you guys on Friday episode. Have a great day.